Welcome to Alouettes Flightdeck, podcast dedicated to Montreal Alouettes football. I am Tim Capper. You can find me on Twitter at REPPACT.
And I'm Cliffy D. You can also find me on Twitter, but at Cliffy D. And this episode of the Alouettes Flightdeck podcast is presented by our good friends over at SportBuff, where right now you can save 10% off your entire order by using the promo code FlightDeck-10. Head on over to www.sportbuffshop.com.
Also got to mention, too, real quickly, that we want to congratulate Jose Lefebvre, who won the SportBuff flight crew seat for this week's game. Congratulations once again.
Nice.
And stay tuned for the week prior to our next home game, which will be the game versus Edmonton. Mm-hmm. Stay tuned for that week, and that's when we will put up the contest again for 2 free tickets to see the Alouettes play at Percival Molson Stadium.
There you go, folks. I mean, like I said, we're doing it big this year, and that includes making sure that you get your opportunity to go see the Alouettes play at Percival Molson Stadium. So when the link goes up, make sure you tell a friend, tell a coworker, tell a family member, tell everybody to jump in and get those flight crew seats. Because, like I say, the view there is fantastic, and folks, it's free, absolutely free to enter.
That's right. Can't be any easier. Can't be any easier. A lot to talk about this week. We have a great interview coming up. It's with wide receiver Reggie White Jr. Yes. No, not that Reggie White Jr.
Yes.
As we get into, I'm sure it's. I think he said I saw another interview with him where he said if he had $1 for every time,
Oh yeah.
I can only imagine. But great interview coming up, and hope you guys stay tuned. Also, we have some CFL Hall of Fame news to talk about. Cliff, before we talk about the game this week, let's go ahead and knock that out. There was some. I don't know if we were surprised about it or not, but we never really know when the announcements are going to be made. I mean, the CFL just recently had their Hall of Fame ceremonies for the 2020 and the 2021 classes. And it's not like the NFL where they give us a list of the finalists of who may be inducted into the Canadian Football Hall of Fame, but they surprised just the other day with an announcement of who made it into the CFL Hall of Fame for 2022. Yeah.
No, it was funny because they literally just finished giving those gentlemen who have made it to the Hall for 2020 and 21. They finally got their opportunity to have their moment in the sun, which was great, and so many great, like for example, like for the Alouette side, you're talking about guys like Marv Levy, Nick Lewis, finally getting named to the Hall, or getting their opportunity because they were named back in 2020 and 2021 respectively. But this was their first opportunity now since COVID that they had to be fully 100% enshrined, which is absolutely awesome. And of course, hats off to those guys. But now, right away, 2022 class was announced, which is kind of surprising, but hey, that's great. So, and we got some incredible news, some very exciting news for you, Alouettes Nation. Not one, but 2 Alouettes representatives got the call this year.
That's right. One being first ballot too, Chip Cox. Very soft-spoken, great interview, by the way. If nobody heard it over on TSN 690, they had an interview with him. Pretty good interview. So if you haven't, I said, listen to it. And also, we had a head coach who was associated with the Alouettes also make it in, right, Cliff?
Yep, that would be Dave Ritchie, who was actually the Alouettes coach when both Anthony Calvillo and Ben Cahoon started playing together. Nice little history nod right there. Mm-hmm. And Dave Ritchie, of course, more known for his time with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers than anywhere else, but still very much a part of Alouettes Nation, and we definitely tip our caps to Coach Dave and to Chip, of course. As I said, definitely well deserved. Definitely belongs in the Hall of Fame without question. I mean, his body of work from 2006 on was nothing short of spectacular. Gotta say though, he did kind of stick around a little too long. Like there was a couple times where he kind of started to trail off a bit, But I don't think that takes away anything from what he's done. I mean, he won 2 Grey Cups with the Alouettes, the back-to-back championships in 2009, 2010. Was an absolute beast on special teams. Just absolutely dangerous player. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, like part of the Alouette swagger that the defense had, that sort of that chutzpah that they had, if you will. I mean, that came part and parcel with Chip Cox. I mean, pairing up with John Bowman, that bringing that kind of that energy, and even though he was a very soft-spoken, very quiet kind of guy, he did his talking on the field. And man, when he hit like a train. I mean, this guy, outstanding, just a simply outstanding player in his time. Like I said, a key part of those Grey Cup winning teams. And I knew he was going to be in the Hall of Fame, but even I was a little surprised by first ballot. Like to me, that was like undisputed practically. I mean, that's like wow. I mean, and again, the other first ballot Hall of Famer this year going in is Ricky Ray. Now, I don't have to tell you how incredible a quarterback Ricky Ray is. I mean, like when you talk about the GOAT as far as CFL quarterbacks go, he is definitely in the conversation, along with guys like Anthony Calvillo and Warren Moon and Doug Flutie and so on and so forth. Like he is definitely up there in that upper echelon without question. So him being a first ballot Hall of Famer, not a shock. But Chip, like I'm not mad at it. Don't get me wrong. Like, but I'm like, wow, okay, yeah, definitely a Hall of Fame talent. But first ballot Hall, really? Like that means his peers and his contemporaries pretty much thought the same as what Alouettes Nation thought. Like this is a surefire Hall of Famer. So I guess they're like, okay, listen, he's eligible. Why waste time? Get him in there. Done. So exactly. That's beautiful. So once again, like to Chip, to Coach Dave, congratulations. Looking forward to seeing your time in the sun, seeing you guys get immortalized in the Hall of Fame in Hamilton. And once again, we salute you for everything you have done for Alouettes Nation.
All right, and we I guess we are an Alouette centric podcast, but we'd be remiss if we didn't mention everybody else who was named into the the next class, the Canadian Football Hall of Fame. Everybody, if you're an Alouettes fan, you know the name kicker Paul McCallum, fullback Tim Tisdale, and Dick Thornton. On the builder category, again, we did Dave Ritchie, Calgary Colts founder and former general manager Keith Evans, and longtime CFL team executive, I think a lot of people would know this name too, Roy Shivers. So, obviously, congratulations to everybody in the class of 2022. And they will be officially inducted on the evening of September 16th at Tim Hortons Field. So, should be cool.
Very cool. So, like I said, there's so many great names in that bunch, and even though we just had a Hall of Fame ceremony, why not have 2? I guess that's the thought this year is, you know what, it was so nice, we're going to do it twice.
Yeah, exactly. Now, switching from Hall of Fame inductions to a game that would not be considered a Hall of Fame game in any way, shape, or form, we have last week's loss. Heartbreaking loss to the Toronto Argonauts. Alouettes lose on a missed field goal. Was it 17 or 21-yard field goal with very little time on the clock. And the Alouettes lose 20-19. You, I, and many others did not see that coming because we all expected to be 1-1 heading into this Week 3 matchup versus the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
What's even more disheartening is that this team could easily have been 2-0 going into this match coming up on Thursday versus the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Instead, 0-2. And both losses were tightly contested affairs. One was a pretty decent effort, whereas the other one stunk out loud. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's just no two ways about it. Like, both teams did everything possible to lose this game. And I remember talking about it with Mike Mitchell last week on the pod that I thought it was going to come down to a field goal. And boy, was I right, but not quite in the way we thought it was going to go down.
No, exactly. I mean, for Boris Spitty to miss a field goal, which he did do, that's a surprise. But also for David Cote to miss one, yeah.
And the fact that he had kicked 4 field goals earlier with no problem from various degrees, distance. I mean, like, okay, I'm not going to call him Mr. Automatic, but I mean, like, he was about as money as one can be. So, yeah, like, you think about, okay, he's going to line up for a 21-yard field goal. Like, that's a chip shot. No problem. We got this. Mm-hmm. And what do you think about the decision to bleed the clock down and then take the timeout.
You and I are. I think we differ on this one because you and I have talked about this already off air. I've heard first and foremost, I've heard two different things. I've heard that the Owls did not have enough players on the field. I've not been able to go back and check that to say if that was true or not. I don't know if you have either. But I'm actually I didn't react negatively in any way, shape, or form when I saw them running the clock down. I kind of understood why they were running the clock down, because you want to try to make it the last play. You want to try to make it, give them as little time as possible if you make it and go ahead. So to me, I really didn't have any issue with it at all, because, as I said, I thought it was normal football to set it up to win the game. And obviously, from you asking me, and as I've already hinted at, you and I differ, though.
Mm-hmm. No, I felt like the team unintentionally, perhaps, or not. I can't say for certain, because, with the... I can't say 100% what happened when it came to the players on the field, if there was enough or what had happened, but it just felt like they inadvertently iced David Cote, which I want to believe they wouldn't do that on purpose, because I know it happens. I know head coaches or special teams coordinators, they kind of overthink things sometimes, and sometimes you can outcoach yourself. And I was very worried that this is what had happened, was Kahari was outcoaching himself, or Byron Archambault. I don't know who gets the final say. I have to believe Kahari gets the final say whether or not to call a timeout in that instance.
Yeah.
But to me, it was like, okay, if you're trying to bleed the clock, I'm all for that. But you know what? I think I would have rather taken the penalty and go back a little bit if that was the case. But it just the optics of it is what bothers me more than anything else. And also too, the fact that it felt like they weren't trying to get. They weren't even trying to center the kick.
Well, that was brought up too. They're talking about when it comes to the hash marks now, they're so close to each other. I've heard from a lot of talking heads where it's now basically automatic, no matter where the ball is spotted on which hash mark. So again, I don't think it was one question that was asked of Kahari. I think it was more or less of the other situation, which we're going to talk about here in a couple of minutes. And more or less on that than it was on whether, what was the reasoning behind a potential icing of our own kicker.
Yeah, no, it's, to me, I would have much rather taken the time count violation and go back 5 yards. If the goal was to bleed the clock, I think that would have been a much better thing to do, and you wouldn't have that notion, because again, kickers know this too. They know if the timeout's being called. It just gives you that extra opportunity to get in your own head. Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry, I know a 21-yard field goal, 9 times out of 10, you're going to make, if you're a half-decent kicker, and I'll go so far as to say David Cote is more than a half-decent kicker. He's a very good kicker.
Yeah.
But still, not perfect. Nobody's perfect. But I think it was just enough just to get inside his own head just a little bit. And I think that's why it just kind of pulled to the left. And, that sucked.
Yeah, I ran into Coach at practice on Sunday, and I was talking to him about it, and then I asked him, do you think his reaction was going to be turned into a meme? Because, everybody could read his lips, where he was just like, oh no, type of thing. So,
yeah, because Kahari doesn't have enough on his plate already, but now he's I could have been worse. He could have been, tied up in his own headset like another former head coach of the Alouettes.
But you know what? I guess if there is a positive to come out of this loss, is that all other teams except for Toronto are 0-2 in the East. It's weird to say, but the Alouettes are just a game and a half out of first, or
tied for second.
Tied for second. So they're basically 2 points out. They're 2 points out of first place. I keep forgetting when it's not baseball-ish for the standings. It's how many wins versus points. So
right now Toronto is the king at 1-0, and well, that's it. So
yeah, exactly. One thing we can take away from this, the Alouettes, it seemed to rear its ugly head. A lot of 15-yard penalties trying to really ding the Owls. 8 penalties for 100 yards. Toronto wasn't much better, mind you. There was 10 for 90, but still, After week one, they did an amazing job. But I mean, the Alouettes just, again, way too many stupid penalties. We had our very first no yards penalty, which I think a lot of people were saying that may not have been a no yards penalty. I saw that on social media once that occurred. Mm-hmm. But there was more to it, though, obviously. I mean, the missed kick. There was the situation at quarterback. But first, let me give the props, by the way. Let me give props to our receiving core. Geno Lewis, again, 100 yards, 11 targets, 7 receptions for 127 yards. Again, Geno is Geno, thank God. But no touchdowns. But still, from there, Reggie White had 33 yards. Jeshwin Antwi had an 18. By the way, there's something I want to talk about. Chandler Worthy, 21. And Reggie White Jr. with 83, speaking of our guest this week. Also, if anybody knows who didn't get a Jake did get 2 targets, but he hasn't had a catch, and this has been an off year so far for Jake Wieneke. It really, really has. I just hope everything he can get back into the groove of things. Obviously, it won't be this week, but it's something else that we need to talk about because it seems to be something that may have lingered since you and I saw it in training camp, which may have reared its ugly head again. Quickly rushing. Leading rusher was Jeshwin Antwi. He only had 8 carries for 29 yards. Trevor Harris had 20 yards. Dominic Davis had 13. VA had 11. Trevor Harris, 18 of 30. Coming in relief, 270 yards and an interception. No touchdowns. VA, 2 of 4 for 14 yards. And that's where we're going to start, or continue rather. VA, 2 for 4 for 14 yards. Well, I do understand it was midway through, about halfway through the second quarter when he got the yank. Yes, Trevor Lettuce was leading the team to a potential win, but it's more or less to Vernon Adams. 2 4, and I said this on social media. First, I was wondering why was the change made, because to me, and I would think to some other fans too, that 2 for 4 is not struggling. The team overall was struggling, yes, but it also didn't help that there was no running game either. And again, Jeshwin only had 8 carries for the game. Yes, again, as I said, Trevor put us into a potential winning spot, but I just don't understand what's going on. I guess we can speculate all we want, but yes, this was a decision would seem to be made to get the team, maybe, give him a little bit more momentum. And so a change was made, and Trevor came in and he finished the game. And as we found out, Trevor will be starting this week. Whether VA, I think it would have happened whether VA had COVID or not. I think it was going to come down to. But anyways, as I said, I just what are your thoughts on this, Cliff?
Well, I'm with you in the sense that 2 and 4 is not struggling. This narrative that people just want to keep beating over the head about Vernon Adams and his struggles. Has he been perfect this year? Of course not. He really has not. Has he been terrible? No, I really don't think so. He made mistakes. We discussed that in the previous pod against Calgary. Was he outstanding in his first couple of series against the Argos? Not particularly, but then again, neither was anyone else. I mean, McLeod Bethel Thompson wasn't exactly lighting the world on fire during that first half of football. I mean, I'll go so far as to say that first half of football was probably some of the worst CFL football I have ever seen. And like, if you were trying to sell the game to, like American fans, or if you're trying to sell the game to CFL haters, or, trying to convince anyone to give CFL football a try, you showed them that, I guarantee you would get 0 response, and 0 positive response. Like, that was just a very poorly played half of football by both teams. So this notion that Vernon Adams is struggling and is not the quarterback they was, and he flat out sucks, and Trevor Harris is so much better. Like, where are you people getting this from?
I mean, if he had been 2 for 12 with a pick, and that's just something I'm throwing out, that's struggling. 2 for 4 is not struggling. It was an overall ineptitude. Yes.
Ineptitude, yes.
Of the offense. The offense was horrible.
Yes.
Again,
on all facets. Like
2 for 4, 2 for 4.
Yeah, but it just felt like, and I'm sorry to say, but like Kahari is obviously feeling the heat from up above. I mean, you had to have noticed Danny Machocha being on the sidelines, right?
I did see him on the sidelines. Yes.
How could you how could he not be in Kahari's ear? Like, get this guy out of here. Get Trevor in there. Let Trevor do this. Let's see what Trevor can do. I'm positive, and like I really feel like the writing is on the wall as far as I'm concerned. Like I will be very surprised if Kahari Jones is still coach of this team by July. It's just the way things are going right now. I mean, it almost feels like Danny Mac is putting more steps into place for him to eventually take over this team as coach. And I don't want to take it away from the fantastic job he's been doing as general manager. But now if he's thinking that he can also be a fantastic coach as well, I'm very leery about that, if for only one reason. Can you name a successful coach / general manager that's in the league right now? No, because there's only one, and that would be Chris Jones. And how's he doing right now? Not good. I mean, not fantastic. I mean, not terrible. I mean, aside from that molly-whopping that the BC Lions gave the Elks in week 1.
Did you look up that word?
No, I've known that word for quite some time.
What did Molly do, and why did she deserve a whopping?
Oh, she knows what she did. But all this to say that it's so difficult right now in the Canadian Football League to do both jobs, and I think Chris Jones, if he didn't know that already, because this is not his first time being a head coach and general manager of a professional football team, I'm sure he's learning it again. Like, oh yeah, there's a lot of hats to wear here, and my concern is, I just don't think Danny Machocha could do it any better than what Chris Jones is currently doing it right now. That being said, I understand that maybe Kahari is not his guy, in the sense that he never hired Kahari Jones. He basically inherited him when he took over the job as general manager. But at the same time, like, Kahari Jones didn't forget how to coach. Like, I think there's just so much pressure, and there's just so much going around right now as far as the expectation levels for this team and what's expected out of Kahari and his staff is it's not realistic. I mean, based on like, this is stuff that has been talked about even before the season started, like the rumors and the whatnot. And as I said, like,
I'm sure it didn't help. But from what I keep seeing though, coach seems to be taking it in stride. It's fun, I think it makes it even more interesting when you have Gary Stern, who's become all of a sudden a social media magnet. He's not only a steel magnet, but he's now a social media, becoming a social media superstar. Mm-hmm. We didn't mention it last week, but making projections on the team killing Toronto. But what else would you expect from an owner? I don't think that would put any more pressure. You know what? And I know we've said this before too, Cliff, when it comes to these certain things, but you know what? It did get, it's funny we say, sometimes we look at it negatively, sometimes we look at it positively. It got the Owls in the press. It got them, they were talked about. But
true.
But leading back to coach, if that is the case, I don't think it's fair for Kahari that, again, all these naysayers, and you have a coach where he's had, and I understand, yes, the coach usually takes the fault of these things, where he had a good 2019, had a mediocre 2021, and then so far what's happening now. But the thing is, injuries galore. It's been crazy. Even this year, it's just so frustrating. And remember the last time that I think that a major losing streak for one of our coaches to be fired, I think goes back to Rod Rust. And he lost 9 straight. The Owls had already clinched a playoff spot in the East. Yeah. And he was fired. And who took over, by the way?
The general manager.
That's right, yeah. But that was the last major one. So I don't know.
And this is the thing that worries me, is that the general managers of this team seem to think they can do it all. And it's just not that easy. And as these previous general managers have learned, sometimes you're better off just staying in the office and making the deals and signing the contracts and scouting the players and so on and so forth. Like, sometimes you're just better off just sticking to one thing and doing it very well, as opposed to spreading yourself too thin. And the overall product suffers as a result.
I will say this. Obviously, I am a Kahari Jones fan. I think he is a great head coach for this team. Mm-hmm. If something happens and for whatever reason they decide to make the change, I don't think it'll be Danny Mack as our interim head coach. I will say that right now. I don't think it will be.
As I said, I look at the moves that were made, the coaches that were brought in. How many of them are former Carabins? Like, to me, it really felt like he's getting the band back together. So,
but either way, you know what? As we said with Vernon before, hashtag our head coach. Until he's not, he's our head coach. And again, I don't have any problem. I'm just having issues right now with how the team is playing. Obviously, they're 0-2, but yet they've only lost these 2 games by a grand total of 4 points.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and I really want to get something out right now. Like, I kind of lost my cool on social media earlier this week with a good friend of ours, actually. Just because, again, I realize I've become sort of the poster boy, if you will, online for my supposed dislike of Trevor Harris. I want to make something clear. I don't dislike Trevor Harris. I'm not a fan of his. I don't think he's the great white hope. I don't think he's the next Ricky Ray, as everybody's trying to make him out to be. He is who he is, and that's fine if that's what you're going for. But
he's had a good 10-year career so far. Anyways, continue. Sorry, this is you. Sorry.
Yeah. No, I mean, listen, he is what he is, though. That's the thing. People are making him out to be something that he's just not. And I'm sorry, if that makes me a hater, then I guess so be it. I guess I'm a hater. But all I'm pointing out is, like, Vernon Adams is your future. He's going to make mistakes. His style of play is very risk-reward, whereas Trevor Harris is very middle of the road. Like, he will do okay. He'll pad his stats. He'll put up numbers that look okay. But I mean, I never felt like the Alouettes were going to win with him. I really truly felt like they were going to win in spite of him at times. I mean, yes, he made a couple of nice throws. Geno Lewis, of course, making those inhuman catches. Mm-hmm. I mean, he and Harris and Reggie White Jr. have clearly developed a connection. Like, they seem to work very well together. Even Hergy Mayala had a pretty outstanding catch as well from Harris. I mean, like, fine, he can move the ball, but then you're still in the same situation of leaving points on the field. Like, instead of scoring touchdowns, you're kicking field goals. Yeah. And thankfully, Toronto was just as pedantic as in their offense, that they were more or less doing the same thing. Like, they were driving the field too. McLeod Bethel Thompson was playing okay football, not outstanding, not lights out football. I mean, you could almost make the argument that Harris and McLeod Bethel Thompson were kind of interchangeable as far as their play goes. They did just enough almost to not lose, if you could believe that.
Yeah.
It was very middle of the road, like very average quarterbacking. And in this game, I guess average quarterbacking was enough to win but problem is only one quarterback could win. So
yeah,
it really did come down to other factors as the reason why the Alouettes lost this game. But to me, like, people are heralding Trevor Harris as like the hero, like, and to the point where I've even seen like some people are like, well, this is more of a Danny Mack style quarterback because he's so much like Ricky Ray. I'm like, I beg your pardon. Other than being white as the driven snow, please explain to me how Trevor Harris and Ricky Ray can be even mentioned in the same sentence. Like, as far as like quarterback play goes, as far as wins, statistics, what have you. Like, I'm sorry. And again, I know I'm probably sounding like the biggest Trevor Harris hater right now, and I'm not trying to be, but you can't compare Trevor Harris to Ricky Ray. I mean, you just can't. Like, fine. Like, they have some similarities. I mean, they even were teammates at one point in Toronto, but that's about where the comparisons end for this. And for people to full on believe that the Alouettes are going to win strictly because Trevor Harris is the quarterback and Vernon Adams is not, what are you basing this on? Please tell me. Like, why can't anyone answer this question for me? Like, you make these absurd statements for nothing, and you have nothing to back it up with. You know what? I can admit Vernon Adams makes mistakes. I can admit there are times where he just does not play very well. But believe me, when he does play very well, I will mention that too. And it's clear as day what kind of quarterback you got with Vernon Adams. And it's also clear as day what kind of quarterback you have with Trevor Harris. And whether you want to take that as a compliment or an insult is completely up to you. I don't see a scenario where Trevor Harris is your long-term solution to whatever the problems are with the Montreal Alouettes. And is it just a matter of, well, he's not a Kahari guy. Kahari is not coaching this guy the way he should be to maximize his potential, but all of a sudden Danny Machocha is going to? Is that really the belief that you have? I'm sorry, I just really don't see it. I mean, I've only watched football for, 30 plus years, and if I can't see this, like, I don't see what everybody else is. Like, I've joked about it during this week. It's like, I feel like I'm in the upside down. Like, there's this, alternate universe where Trevor Harris is like the greatest quarterback since sliced bread. Like he's like Tom Brady 2.0. And I'm sorry, I'm not seeing it. Like, if someone wants to clue me in, someone wants to explain to me how it's going to work and all that, I'd love to hear it. I'd love to sit down and discuss that. But
so are you saying Trevor Harris is the Demogorgon? Since you're talking about the upside down.
If you've got a better explanation, Tim, I am all ears.
Well,
and
please.
Anyone else that's listening on this right now, if you've got a better explanation, I'm willing to. Like, I'll play along. I'll listen, but I can only go by what I've seen with my own two eyes. And realistically, all I see is a middle of the pack quarterback that's now trying to be this superstar.
Trevor has the veteran status. That he does. He has 10 years under his belt, mostly as a starter. I mean, yes, he's in his mid-30s. It's funny to say a guy in mid-30s is potentially an issue. VA has the age where he is a quarterback that can learn.
And is still learning. Like, we've seen what he can do. Like, we've seen the work he puts in, and he's still working with coaches. He's still training with other players that will bring out the best. They're doing their best to bring out, the very best that there is in Vernon Adams. Yeah. Like, you see him constantly striving to improve.
Yeah. Now, is it a result of him being hurt? I don't know. I think I brought it up a few weeks ago. Could it be a psychological thing? Potentially. But, we as fans and media, we can only base our opinions on from what we see or what we've heard.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And I want to give another example, if I may. Yeah. This past Saturday, the Calgary Stampeders. Remember they were down 24-0 to the Hamilton Tiger Cats? Everybody was begging for Jake Mayer to be thrown into the match. Like, oh, Bo Levi's finished. He's hurt. He sucks. It's over. It's done. But do you think Dave Dickinson listened to these people? Do you think that he heard any of this? No. He knows what he has in Bo Levi Mitchell. And my God, they scratched and clawed. And, he let Bo Levi work out his problems. He let him figure it out. Mm-hmm. And look what happened. They came all the way back. I mean, some could say that the Tiger Cats choked. You can make that argument, but I'd rather look at it more like Bo Levi, whatever problems he had, whatever malaise he had going on, whatever was bothering him, he figured it out.
Yeah, Calgary folded Montreal.
They did. They absolutely did.
Yeah.
Like, imagine if Kahari and to a lesser extent Danny Machocha gave Vernon Adams the opportunity to figure it out. I'm willing to bet he would have figured it out and found a way to beat the Tiger Cats or the Argonauts.
Now,
sorry.
I'm going to be David's advocate on this because then we need to move on from this.
Go on.
But what would you say to those people who say you cannot compare a Bo Levi to a Vernon Adams? Nothing against VA, by the way. He 100%. He knows this.
Oh, without question. We've talked about like who we consider our top tier quarterbacks in this league, and yeah, until otherwise, Bo Levi, as far as I'm concerned, is still that top tier quarterback. He's like Vernon. He's gone through some injury woes. He's had some problems. He's had some doubters. He's got doubters now. But you know what? The one thing that Vernon Adams doesn't have, though, apparently, is management that has his back, that is willing to let him figure it out. I mean, now mind you, yes, Bo Levi Mitchell is, head and shoulders, above as far when it comes to Grey Cup wins, Grey Cup appearances, mm-hmm. and just he's got the experience that Vernon Adams simply does not have. He doesn't. Right. He doesn't have those. He's got those things that Vernon Adams simply hasn't had the opportunity to have yet, which is fine. And so that explains why he's given the leeway, and that's probably why he's got the opportunity to figure out whatever the problems are and solve them.
Right. And
imagine though, Tim, if Dave Dickinson was the head coach of the Alouettes and you've got this other quarterback that everybody seems to be clamoring for and is convinced is going to be the next big thing, but you stick with your guy. You stick with the guy that brought you to the dance. And fine, he's going through some problems, but you let him figure it out. Imagine if. I mean, like that's the thing that just I'm, like I look at both situations. I look at what the Alouettes management is doing with Vernon Adams versus what Calgary's management's doing with Bo Levi Mitchell, and it's night and day. And you can't help but wonder. Like, I'm sure VA's got to be thinking to himself, man, must be nice to let someone, let me figure out my stuff and let me do my thing. Like, I can only imagine what he's thinking when he sees that sort of situation unfolding right before him.
Yeah. By the way, to close this out on this, if we're wrong, if Cliff is wrong, and on anything that we have said, we invite, please get in contact with us, tim.capper at alouettesflightdeck.ca, or Cliff at clifford.pine at alouettesflightdeck.ca. You want to come on? We want to talk. Tell us how we are wrong. We have no problem if we are, in your eyes, we are wrong. Anybody from the Alouettes organization, Delorier, Danny Mack, Gary Stern, Meyer Cicchini, please, head coach Kahari, come on. We'd love to hear the thought pattern behind it. That's all. Let us know. By the way, one quick thing, and then we will move on to the interview, because with Reggie, it's a very good interview.
Yes,
I was trying to do the actual count here on how many times Antwi had rushes in the second half. That's the other thing that kind of pissed me off too, is because you have a guy. We know we're down. We understand we were down to basically one running back last week.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't. It's not 8 rushes is not a sample size.
Not a very big sample size, no.
I mean, it's like they almost totally threw it out the window. I mean, it didn't work in the first half. Change. I mean, it's I don't know, dude. I said I didn't go through how many different rushes that they had in the second half. I should have,
and it was obvious to me that the Argos were game planning for Antwi as well, because I think they saw what the runs he was able to break out against Calgary, and they had to be prepared for him. So I mean, and it probably too is also thinking too of this whole quarterback malaise that's going on in Montreal. They had to figure, okay, they got to be leaning on Antwi, so we got to prepare for this guy. And give him credit, they were able to bottleneck him for the most part. So I think it's just good scouting on Toronto's part to know your enemy, and that's exactly what they did. Because should the Alouettes have gone to Antwi a little bit more? I absolutely agree. I absolutely think that would have helped take some of the pressure off, regardless of who the quarterback was. Because like if both quarterbacks are struggling to really produce, I mean, to really move the ball downfield, that a guy like Antwi, like we saw what he can do. He's got the muscle, he's got the speed. He just needs the opportunity to try and break one open. And this offensive line, let me tell you something of this offensive line. The left tackle position, I think that scares me more. There shouldn't be a quarterback controversy. There should be a left tackle.
Schluger was horrible, and we're going to say it right now. He's already on the one game this week, and he's being replaced by the Calendar.
Yeah, I mean,
horrible. The sacks, you knew it. You saw it, and it was like, good Lord.
Yeah, but let's not forget, when Dominique Nevis scored that touchdown, it was Schluger that took the ball and spiked it, and he made sure that the cameraman, he actually turned the camera ever so slightly to make sure that everybody saw him spike the ball. So good on you for going into business for yourself. But where were those highlights when the defensive line was rushing past you and swim move all over you, and getting to the quarterback, which by the way is your job to protect the blind side. Just FYI.
Yeah. By the way, Antwi, if I read this right, 6 rushes in the third quarter. That means 2 in the first half. No rushes in the fourth quarter. No attempts. Mm. But yeah, it was the 2 of the sacks. It was ridiculous. VA and this was before VA was pulled.
Yeah.
It was just so bad.
Yeah, you know what? I guarantee, like, Tom Brady would be quote unquote struggling with that kind of performance from the offensive line. I mean, like, for crying out loud. And again, at least they're not playing favorites. They were just as ineffective when Trevor Harris was behind center.
Yeah.
I mean, for God's sakes, you got to I don't care who your quarterback is, you got to let him do his thing, and you got to create lanes for your running back. I noticed I said running back because there's only one playing last week, but holy cow, like you got to do stuff like Toss him a bone here. Like,
we got 2 this week. So we have 2 this week.
Holy moly.
So see that, but we'll be getting to that in a minute here. As I mentioned at the top of the show, a great interview with a rising superstar in the CFL, Reggie White Jr. We talked actually with him for a couple minutes the other night. He was gracious enough to join us. So let's get to that interview, Cliff. And when we get back, we will preview the game and the home opener for 2022 for the Alouettes versus Saskatchewan. And with us this week is a gentleman who has made a name for himself. It's been a very unique path to becoming an Alouettes wide receiver. We want to find out more about his career before the Alouettes, etc. On the line with us now is Reggie White Jr., wide receiver for the Montreal Alouettes. Hey, Reggie, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Now, we got to get something clear right off the bat.
Yes.
You're not related to that Reggie White, correct?
Not to the one everybody thinks about, but to me, it is that Reggie White.
Okay.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
That
no
is,
disrespect to your actual father, who is also Reggie White, but
yeah.
But again, like obviously, like football fans, the first thing they're going to think of is the legendary Philadelphia Eagles / Green Bay Packer.
Right. Yeah, that's not my dad. My dad is Reggie White Sr. He played in the league at the same time, actually. He has a picture with the real Reggie White after a game. So he played from 92 to 97, a year after I was born. So it's pretty cool that we share the same name with a Hall of Famer. And, I get asked a million times, is it any relation? And I always say not the one that you're thinking of. But my dad also did play in the NFL, too. So pretty cool.
Oh, for sure.
So not the Minister of Defense.
Yeah.
Want to find out about, you talk about football, and I mean, we know you played at Monmouth. You had a monster career at Monmouth. I was just looking at your stats. Now you had a hell of a senior year. Oh my God. Actually, you're a 5th-year senior too on top of that, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Obviously it seems like a silly question to ask, but I could be wrong. But who got you involved in football? Was it because of your father, or was it something that you wanted to do from the onset?
It was 100% my dad.
Yeah?
Yeah, he put the football in my hand since the day I was born. So all credit goes to him.
Yeah. Was there anybody else besides your father who was in football that also made you love the sport even more? I mean, somebody, maybe a coach that gave you some advice, or maybe something your father said when it came to advice. Or was there anybody else besides your dad that you looked up to in football?
It was pretty much my dad. You
Yeah.
know, I started playing when I was 4, so I really didn't know too much about it, but I just knew he played, and I wanted to be like him. So he got me in the sport early. Well, I played all 3, football, basketball, and baseball, but I fell in love with football the most.
Okay. You're very similar to a teammate of yours, Gino Lewis, and when he had a choice to make, you played all 3. Why did you choose football specifically over baseball or basketball?
Well, I kind of made the decision going into my junior year of high school. I was playing AAU basketball. At this time, I was just playing football and basketball. But
Right.
you know how AAU basketball is all year round, and I really just stopped playing AAU basketball. I just wanted to focus on football, and then when basketball season came, then I'll play basketball. But all my focus just turned to football, and I was just basically playing basketball for fun because I was still good at it. But I knew I wanted to go to school for football, and I had a better chance of making the pros playing football.
Yeah. So in high school, you lettered in all 3?
In high school, I just played basketball and football. I started playing baseball probably middle school.
Oh, okay.
A little too boring for me. I was in the outfield.
Not a lot of action there at times. So.
All right.
Why'd you choose Monmouth? I mean, did they recruit you out of high school, or what was the reasoning for heading over to Monmouth?
Yeah, they recruited me. I really only had one offer. That was my only offer until about probably end of my senior year. End of my senior year of high school. So I had already committed probably like, I want to say November, around that time.
Yeah. And
they just kept communicating with me. They called me every week. I went on a visit up there, and it just felt like the best fit. You know, once I found out I could get into school, because we had the SAT when I was in high school. So once I found out I could actually get into school, I didn't want to wait anymore. I didn't have any other offers, so I was like, I'm going to commit to Monmouth. And then I probably got like 2 more like after the season, after my senior season. Howard University offered me late, and my dad's alma mater, North Carolina A&T, offered me like on signing day. So that was kind of slap in the face, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Would you have changed? Would you have gone to another university if all three had recruited you at the same time? Or obviously, I mean, you can look back at it now, but you did very well at Monmouth. So
yeah, well, I always wanted to go to A&T like my dad. And I wanted to go to A&T like my dad. It didn't work out. I mean, I went to camp down there. He drove me down to camp, and they still didn't offer me. So Mom it was the perfect fit, and I got there at the right time. It was 5 seniors ahead of me, and I redshirted that year. So once it was my turn to play, it was for me to start, and I haven't looked back since.
Okay, that's good. Cool, Cliff.
What drew you to wide receiver as when it came to a football position?
What you say?
What drew you to the wide receiver position above all the others?
I really don't know where the receiver came from. My dad wanted me to play quarterback, but if you know me, I don't really like saying too much. So I didn't like running the offense. I'd rather just catch the ball and score a touchdown. So probably when I started playing like tackle football, I probably was playing like line or something. And then they probably moved me to tight end, and then I moved to receiver. So I was playing like tight end receiver, and then I just started playing receiver probably around like 7, 9, and I've been playing ever since.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And what would be the one thing you consider to be the biggest sacrifice you had to make in order to become a professional football player? The
biggest sacrifice?
Mm-hmm.
Just like time management, I wouldn't say like time management, but, you're in college, people want to party and stuff. They want to do all the extra stuff, but sometimes you got to just cut that out and just work out. You're going to have to miss them parties. You're going to have to miss the little gatherings. So I think just staying focused, it's a time and place for everything. And just having my dad in my corner, being as though he's been through the process already, it helped guide me in college to get where I am today.
All right. Okay. Fun fact about Monmouth is we actually had a player with the Alouettes a few years ago from Monmouth who was one heck of a player in Brian Brokowski. I don't know if you remember him from when you were at Monmouth. I know you guys didn't quite cross paths, but he was quite the player in his day for the Alouettes. And, if you can have half the career that he did, I think you'll be doing all right for yourself.
Yeah. I haven't... I didn't know that, so I had to look into that because I didn't know anything about that. But yeah, if he had a good career, hopefully I have half as a career as he did.
Now, speaking of career, very interesting because it's, how you became a part, not necessarily of the Alouettes at first, Reggie, but of the CFL. It came out of the COVID season, and I don't think this is something that the league had ever done before, but they basically created what was considered a team CFL. I'll call it a team CFL. I don't want to call it a team COVID because that's not really the right term to use. But when it came to being a part of the CFL at first, I mean, had you heard of the league? Had you ever seen a game on TV? Had you ever had a teammate of yours playing the CFL before? What made you choose to become a part of the CFL and to play the Canadian game?
Well, I always knew about the CFL, but I really didn't look into it. My teammate now, Mike Jones Jr., we went to high school together. We grew up together. So I was watching him play like in the Grey Cup in 19. And it was always like in the back of my mind, like if the league doesn't work out, I can always fall back on the CFL. And the league didn't work out, and my agent called me in probably December and said something about the Alouettes. And I looked into it with my family, and we made a decision to come up here and see how I do. And I just made the most out of it.
Tell fans what's it like being on a practice roster versus being on an active roster.
Oh man, it was tough. You always want to play. So the hardest days is probably like when the team travels or game day at home. You just watching from home when you watch on the sideline. So you always want to be a part of that. And it was kind of hard just watching everybody that you go to work with every day, being able to showcase their talent on the field, and you just basically have to wait your turn. So that's how it was. And just standing around positive people, don't let nobody tell you any negative. It's already a lot going on while you're on a practice squad. You already got stuff in your head that, you're not making a lot of money. You might want to go back home and get a regular job. So it was just keeping positive people around me, just telling me to just wait my turn and it's going to come. And I knew once I got on the field that I wasn't going to look back. So that's what kind of motivated me to just wait my turn, and now I'm just making the most out of it.
Yeah. And
that's it, just staying ready.
Exactly. And obviously you got to be to take advantage of it, because unfortunately in sports, it's usually the next man up type of thing. And that's the way it was for you, because when BJ Cunningham got hurt, you were the next man up. And so far, so you've made the best of your career so far with the Alouettes.
Yeah. So, it was hard seeing BJ go down, because BJ was one of the guys I looked up to. I came into camp and I had a great relationship with BJ, and I still do to this day. So it was hard to see BJ go down, but he always encouraged me. Even when he went down, he was excited for me to play. He was excited for me to showcase my ability. So it was good to have him in my corner.
And if anyone can relate to what it's like to be on a practice roster and waiting for that opportunity, it's definitely BJ, because that's exactly how he got his start here, was just biding his time on the practice roster. And then when his number was called, he was ready to go. So I'm sure he must have been able to impart some of that onto you.
Yeah. So, like guys like BJ, Gino, VA, they all started off on the practice roster. So just having them in my ear and just telling them just wait my turn and to stay ready, because the CFL is crazy. Something's happening every week. So I just had to stay ready and keep my head down, stay focused. And when my time came, then I was able to showcase my abilities.
Now let's talk about the first time you took the field for the Alouettes. It was against the Toronto Argonauts back in October of 2021. Just explain to us, it's a home game, so obviously your first CFL game is in front of your hometown fans and all that. Explain what it was like taking the field that first time.
Man, I was excited, actually. Sometimes people get nervous and stuff before the game, but I was very excited. I was excited to be back on the field. I took a year off of football, so the whole 2020 I was just on the couch basically. So just to be back on that field and get that joy again, it was very exciting for me. And just trying to make a play, just make plays when the ball come my way, make the blocks for the running back, and we got the win that day. So it was a great turnout.
Oh, that's excellent. And then finally catching your first professional touchdown from Trevor Harris in Winnipeg. Walk us through that one.
That was very cool too. I was playing Mike. I grew up with Mike. I probably knew Mike since I was 4. So being able to catch the touchdown in Winnipeg, it wasn't on him, but it was against him. And his dad was our recreation coach, so he was in the stands. So it was just a blessing to be able to share that moment with him and share that moment with my teammates. I got to keep the ball. I gave it to my dad. So it was a great moment for me.
That is so cool. And it had to be good for Mike Jones, too. On the surface, he's probably upset because, okay, you scored a touchdown on him, but at the same time, is like, I'm proud of this guy. I got to be proud of him, right?
Right, yeah. It's all love, We dreamed about this, so I remember talking to him in the pregame, like, it's crazy. Like, we playing against each other. Like, Mike stayed over my house before our high school games, like washing clothes and stuff, getting the stuff ready for the game. So it's really like my brother. So when we played with each other, it was nice. And to have him on the team now is just an extra bonus for me.
Oh, I can imagine.
That's amazing. Like life comes full circle, just starting out as youngins. Now you're you face off against each other, and now you're actually on the same team together. Like how great is that?
I remember calling him in the offseason. I said, you might as well just come sign with the Alouettes. And he kind of like laughed it off. And then he called me during the free agency period. And once he called me, I already knew what he was calling me for. I think I'm coming to Montreal. I said, come on, let's go. So I'm glad everything worked out.
He wanted to make sure he had a roommate.
Reggie, you talk about football. The football family is just so small, even though there's so many people. And to be with one of the guys that you've known for all these years. That's just crazy. It was, you know what? It seems like it was meant to be for you two to play on the same squad. So.
Yeah, I definitely feel like it was meant to be. Played 7, 9 to high school. The only time we didn't play with each other is in college. So
yeah.
To play together at the highest level it was crazy.
Looking at the Canadian game itself, what was the easiest thing for you to get used to, and the hardest thing for you to get used to when it comes to rules within the Canadian game?
The easiest thing was probably like I knew once I learned the waggle, I was going to be okay.
Yeah.
So getting the waggle, it wasn't hard. It was just like learning the timing and stuff, and the quarterback waving his arms when he's ready for you to go. So that wasn't hard. Probably like the extra man on the field, it's 12 men on the field instead of 11. So it's like the same coverages, but it's different at the same time too. So just adjusting in that, but everything has slowed down for me this year. Like I'm way more comfortable in the offense. I know the offense, so I'm able to just go out there and just have fun and make plays.
Yeah. Cool.
That's all we can ask is you to have fun and make plays. Because when you make plays, my man, you make some incredible plays. Like I'm still thinking about like week 1 versus Calgary. There's that one pass that Vernon just zipped right over to you, and I'm like, I don't think you even knew it was coming. Like that's how fast it was, and you just snagged it like just out of nowhere.
Yeah, I try to make plays, man. Gino make a lot of plays, so I try to keep up with Gino and Jake. Just try to be that third receiver to keep us going. But I love our receiver core. I feel like we got the deepest core in the league. When somebody's number called, they always step up, and that just goes to show about like our vets. They set the foundation. So I feel like receivers, whoever's up is going to perform at the highest level. So I'm very excited for all our receivers, and whenever they get their chance to showcase their ability, they're definitely going to put on a show.
Well, we're waiting for you. You're next up when it comes to doing a hurdle. We're waiting for you to hurdle somebody, Reggie.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I never heard it before. I never tried before. It's been in the back of my mind. So maybe they've been tackling me now. They know I'm a big receiver, so they try to go for my leg. So I might got to bring out a hurdle.
It couldn't hurt. It can only help.
Yeah. What's it been like so far this year? Obviously, with the it's good to see that all the quarterbacks on the Alouettes roster have a good relationship. As a wide receiver, how hard is it for you to get used to when it comes to you having two different pivots throwing to you? Vernon versus Trevor. Is it hard to get used to having two guys throw to you, or is it for you? It doesn't really matter.
No, that's not that hard. Playing with VA, I played first 2 games with VA, so that was my first time playing with VA. But I've been throwing with VA in the off season, so it wasn't hard adjusting. And I played with Trev last year, so it was just like last year. But I know what Trev can do. He know what I can do. And but yeah, it wasn't very hard adjusting anything.
Okay, that's good to hear. That's good to hear. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Did you also take part in VA's mini camp this off season? Yeah,
I was there.
Yeah. Do you think that you were able to get together on quite a few things, being that you had not played with VA before?
Yeah, definitely. Got some timing down. Told him how I like where the ball is, like how I like the ball to throw it up high, basically. And he just adjusting to me running routes, adjusting to my speed. So it didn't take too long.
Yeah. And like Gino, you're good at the 50-50 ball too?
Yeah, I like the 50-50 balls.
I was praying so hard for you.
Catches.
Yeah.
See, I was praying for you that Hail Mary prayer that Vernon threw up in Calgary.
Oh yeah.
I thought, okay, Reggie's got to come down with that one, and
it felt like I was in a movie when the ball was in the air. I was in my head like I'm about to win the game,
right?
But it didn't go how I planned it did. So, but it was crazy. I was surprised VA got it down there that far, but he threw the ball.
So when you're in the moment like that, like it really does slow down, like in the movies, like to you, or is it just like?
Yeah, well, that Hail Mary pass is everything slowed down. So I was just watching the ball come my way. I didn't know who was around me. I didn't really pay attention to anything else but the ball. And then when it came, everybody came and collapsed. So
yeah,
it was over with.
Wow. That's fascinating. I always thought it was just like something that they did in the movies, but if that's really how it is, like that's interesting.
Just that play though. Any other play is real quick. It go out quick.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair.
So now in 2022, you have a little bit more freedom based on because of the not all the restrictions are currently there because of the COVID protocols, et cetera, et cetera. What have you been able to check out in Montreal that's really caught your eye? Things that, whether it be food, whether it be places that you've gone to, what parts of the city have you been able to go to and check out?
I'm with my girlfriend now. I'm right in H&M right now while she shops, man.
Okay.
So I've been downtown a lot, especially when she comes up. She likes to shop. We just ate Korean barbecue.
Attaboy.
So we've been to a couple spots downtown, and she's pretty familiar with it now. I got a baby on the way, so she gets her exercise in on St. Cat. That's all her exercise is on St. Cat. So I caught her out of practice. She was just walking down St. Cat, and I was like, why are you outside right now? She's like, I'm just going for a walk, going shopping. So I said, okay. I come get you at the practice then. So she keeps me downtown.
Wow. So congratulations. Would this be Reggie White the third?
We found out actually on the bye week.
Oh.
So July 3rd, I'll probably have a gender reveal, and we'll find out if it's a boy or girl.
That's cool.
Okay.
That's cool. That's cool. Did you drive to meet your girlfriend, or did you take the metro? Because we usually try to find out if our players have gotten used to the subway system yet.
I usually take the metro, but she brought my truck up, so I drove to come get her after practice.
Okay.
But usually I'll take the metro.
Okay. Cool.
Oh, makes a lot of sense.
Oh yeah, for sure. We always ask too, because obviously, yes, we know players are usually try to keep on a normal regiment when they're eating and stuff like that. Sometimes they do have cheat days and stuff like that, but we have to at least ask, have you had a chance to try poutine yet? And if you have, do you like it or do you hate it?
I haven't tried it yet.
No?
Everybody says I need to try it. I've been here for 2 years and still haven't tried it. So maybe one day I'll go out and get some. What's a good spot to get some from?
There's a lot of good places, and I'll tell you what, Reg, we'll take you for the good poutine.
There you
we'll
go.
make sure that you get it done right, because I'll tell you right now, avoid the fast food places.
I'm a very picky eater, so it's going to take some time for me to adjust to it.
I think you'll be okay. If you like cheese, if you like French fries, it's just getting used to the gravy that's on top. We call it gravy, but it's the sauce. It's, as I said, you got to go to the right place, because you can't go to a McDonald's, you can't go to a Burger King, you can't get a poutine from those places. You got to go to a good place in Montreal. But we'll help you. We'll help
I gotta go check it out.
Yeah, we'll help you.
Yeah, we'll steer you right. I mean, well, wait a minute. In Maryland, you've had disco fries, right?
Yeah.
Okay, same idea, but better.
Better? I'll
Much
take your
better.
word for it.
Listen, we won't steer you wrong, man.
Yeah,
We'll make sure you get the good stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah,
Reggie,
go
let's talk about this game coming up against Saskatchewan. I mean, obviously it's the home opener. Everybody's gonna be jacked. Everybody's gonna be excited. They want to see the Alouettes actually play. And what are you looking forward to most with this game?
I just want to win. That's it. I think we're due for a win. Last 2 games didn't go our way, but you can see we right there. So just take that next step and get in that win column. And I think once we get in that win column, then we won't look back and we just keep it rolling.
All right. And is there anybody on the Riders that you're looking at right now and you're like, I got to beat this guy? Like who is that you're looking at saying, okay, I got to be better than this guy right here?
I don't think it's just being better. I think it's just the whole offense just executing. I think when we execute, then we are our best. Don't let penalties hurt us and stuff like that. So I don't think it's just about me beating everybody. I think it's just the whole offense just connecting at the right time.
That's fair. Well, you're going to have a whole stadium behind you this time, so
Exactly.
I'm hoping that's
I'm excited to see all the Owls fans.
There you go. I'm hoping it's all it's going to take now is just a little bit of home cooking to get you guys get that W and get back on track.
Right.
Exactly. And
I'm looking forward to it.
Hey, you know what? It looks like the potentially the football gods are looking good on you guys, because everybody in the East right now is 0-2 except for Toronto. Hey, get that one win. You can take the take the East Division.
We're still right there.
Yep. Exactly.
Right there.
Exactly.
Just get things back on track. That's all we can ask for, Reg.
We'll get back on track.
Yeah. Well, listen, hey, Reggie, we really appreciate your time, man. I know we've met you a couple of times already in person, stuff like that, and we will. If we don't have access this week to the field, we'll make sure that we make our presence known and say hey to you. But if anybody wants to follow you on social media, Reggie, how would they do so?
Follow me on Twitter. I think it's _Reg1, and Instagram is _Reg REGG9.
Cool.
All right, there you go, Alouettes fans. Your wide receiver, a superstar in the making.
Yes, sir.
Going to have himself a great game on Thursday. I'm telling you right now, he is going to have a great game, because you know why, Reg? I'll explain to you. Guys that come onto the podcast, we give you a chance to say your piece. We give you, we show you the love. Almost always, more often than not, and Tim back me up on this, guys usually ball out and have an amazing game. So I'm expecting big things from you this Thursday.
It's true.
Okay, I hope. I'm looking forward to keep it rolling there.
Yep. And then we'll have to have you on again, over and over and over again, and you'll continue to do as well as you're going to do this week.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, it was our pleasure. It was our pleasure, Red. Have a good one, man, and good luck to you on Thursday, and we'll be cheering for you in the stands.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, it was nice for Reggie to join us, even while he was waiting over at H&M downtown. It was. I love it when, no matter where they're located, Cliff, that these guys will come on and talk about their career and talk about Alouettes football. I'm waiting for somebody to say, "Well, hell, you did a podcast when you were over in Europe."
Exactly. So, I mean, in theory, as long as you've got an internet connection and a phone line, so to speak, I mean, you're golden. You can do a podcast just about anywhere.
There you go.
My big fear, though, is someone's going to do a podcast from the toilet, and we'd rather not do that. So,
no. Hopefully,
but it was.
Especially if we start moving into video, that won't work out too well.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, but obviously,
we're trying to get YouTube subscribers, not lose them.
Yeah. But Reggie, as I said before, he's a star in the making. Took advantage of the opportunities that they had. Obviously, he knows BJ Cunningham, and obviously, again, as I said in the interview, football's football. It's next man up type of mentality. But either way, I'm happy to have him on the team, because he's impressing me, and I'm hope he's impressing Alouette fans also.
Absolutely. And once again, Reggie, we thank you so much for coming on the flight deck. Hope to have you back on real soon. And like I said, as we talked about in the interview, we got that podcast karma now. So we fully expect you to ball out in front of your hometown fans on Thursday.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Don't forget, we are on social media. You can find us in many, many places. Check out our Twitter account over at Alouettes Flightdeck. You can find us over on Instagram. Just search for Alouettes Flightdeck. You can find us on Facebook. Search for Alouettes Flightdeck Pod. Also, we're creeping up. We're getting ever so close to getting that 100, to that 100 goal, and giving away that brand new with tags throwback Delta jacket. We're almost there. I think we were we're 15 people. I think that's what it was. I think we're 15 people away. So we're slowly getting there. So if you haven't already, head over to YouTube, do a search for Alouettes Flightdeck. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, mash it, hit it hard. As we're hoping to do this week to Cody Fajardo, just like a defensive man would do to Cody Fajardo, just smash it,
yeah,
and help us get to 100. So, and our merch store, don't forget, you won't get it before the game this week, but make sure you head over there. We got some nice stuff. teespring.com/stores/Owls Flight Deck. So, yeah. And I said our emails earlier. You can email us at any time. Okay. This weekend, it started off very interesting.
I'll say.
To say the least. to say the least. It's funny. I hate Thursday games, Cliff, but yet the plus about a Thursday game is that the Alouettes have their first practice on the following Sunday, which we've been able to attend a couple of times. Actually, me for the past 2 weeks. You did it 2 weeks ago when it was at the Purcell Molson.
Mm-hmm.
So I attended on Sunday. Was able to see the team play before DJ over at RDS tweeted it out about Trevor Harris. I saw it. I knew right away who we were going to have starting this week, even before the whole thing with COVID and whatever broke.
Yeah.
And that's where the interesting part comes in. I'm talking to VA after practice on Sunday, and then I happened to see that he was out on Monday, not feeling well. I DM him. And he says, "Oh, by the way," and this is before it broke, by the way. "Oh, by the way, you just to be on the safe side, make sure you get tested for COVID." So I've been isolating for 2 days. So three days. So everything's good so far. So that's where the whole damn thing started. We had three people out for injury that one day, and I'm thinking, what's going on? Because we knew the Alouettes had their thing coming up. Actually, it was today where they had their introduction over at
Complexe Desjardins.
Thank you, Complexe Desjardins.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, what aren't you telling us, guys? Because we still have some guys who were not starting this week and that were considered had an illness also. Then we about Mario Ticini getting COVID. Gary Stern announcing today he has COVID. Finding out that some others because not my place to say, by the way, but finding out some others in the organization had just gotten over COVID.
Are you people all drinking out of the same cup, for crying out loud?
What's with this Kool-Aid? So this threw a wrench into, but again, it already had been determined that Trevor Harris was going to be the starter this week but it has thrown the team into a little bit of turmoil considering all the changes. Now, we mentioned before about Schluger being placed on I think he was placed on the one game, and Counter's going to start. Then Jake is hurt. He's on the one game, and this goes back. If people go back to what we were saying when we did our show from the week after training camp, Jake's been going through some stuff with a hammy all season, and he's out with a hammy thing.
Yep. He has been very quiet this year.
Very, yeah. Gino seems to be a little dinged up, and I think they said hamstring also, but he's going to be starting.
Mm-hmm.
Changing quarterback, obviously, because of the changes with VA being on the one game or not starting, however they're determining what it's going to be, where it's now Harris, Dominic Davis, and Davis Alexander as the backups. So we're guessing he'll be doing the. I don't know. I guess he'll be doing the short yardage, but even though Davis is a little bit of a bigger guy, we'll find out.
Possibly, or really could just be stay ready in case either one gets hurt. Because obviously, if Harris, God forbid, gets injured, they would defer to Dominic Davis simply because he does have the CFL experience.
Mm-hmm. But there were some changes all around, and obviously, we want the best for the home opener. But man, I'm hoping they can overcome this and pull out a win in front of the home crowd, because we really, as fans, we need to be 1-2. In this division, we need to be 1-2.
Yeah. I mean, we can't keep hoping that the other teams in the Eastern Division lose too, if only just to stay on pace with them, which is not the benchmark you want to be. It's not the benchmark you expect it or should aspire to.
No.
But again, it's tough when you look at the injuries, the guys that are out. I mean, once again, it's an opportunity for like next man up. So you're going to see some guys in the lineup that I know can play and just need the opportunity. And this is it. Like, you want the opportunity. This is it. Like, this is your chance to show up and show out, especially with it being the home opener. Like, you're playing in front of your people. You're playing in front of your fans, your supporters. You want to put your best foot forward, if for no other reason, to at least show that, listen, I belong on this team. I want you to be cheering for me the way you cheer for Vernon Adams and Geno Lewis and so on. And yeah, it's incredible. Like, between the injuries, between COVID, I mean, like this is incredible. I mean,
yeah,
I had to laugh. I have to laugh though because we're playing the Saskatchewan Roughriders. They have not looked very good either,
despite their record.
I kind of laugh. It's kind of a weird juxtaposition. Like, you could make the argument that the Alouettes are the best 0-2 team in the Canadian Football League, and you can make an argument that the Roughriders are the worst CFL team that's 2-0. Mm-hmm. Like, these are two teams that are not so different, really, when you think about it, other than the fact that Cody Fajardo could do no wrong. I mean, like, he's gone through his woes and he's gone through his things, and there's no quarterback controversy out there. I mean, like, but they find ways to win. Like, that's really what it came down to, is they just found ways to win against Hamilton and against Edmonton. Yeah. Whereas Montreal found ways to lose against Calgary and Toronto.
Yeah. Chandler Worthy seems to be doing most of the returning this week. Antwi and newly acquired Fletcher will be our running backs this week. Mm-hmm. Dante Absher will be making the start in place of
TD Jake.
Jake Winicky.
Mm-hmm.
So there are some changes on the line. So I'm, again, hoping for all the best, man. That's all that matters. I mean, there's so many promotions. I mean, I want this to succeed so much because of all the. I mean, Mr. Stern all of a sudden coming up with the 50% off tickets for students out of the blue. Yep. What seemed to be out of the blue.
Yep.
It's the day before Saint Jean. There's a band playing at halftime. Now I don't know. I'm sure you're gonna get one because I'm not really a beer drinker. But if I have to end up getting two, I'll be happy just in order to have a bottle, a can. But that Alouettes branded beer.
That's awesome. And the brewery that's making it is Archibald, which makes a very famous up and coming brewery in Quebec. They make some excellent beers.
Yeah, it's the one that usually have different women on the cans, right?
That's right.
Yeah. And so no, not that. It's not what I mean, folks. I mean, it based on what type of beer it is, it's a themed graphic. Anyways, I shouldn't even say that word.
Just quit while you're behind.
I'm going to quit. All I'm going to say is this, Cliff. If I have to pay you to get, because they're reducing the price on the beer too, but if I have to, you can drink it. I don't care, because I seriously doubt they're going to give us an unopened beer can. But if I want one of the cans.
Yeah, it's going to be collector's item. I really hope they sell them outside of the stadium. I don't know if it's exclusive.
Yeah, I know. They said it was limited. I don't know what that means, but yeah, because I hope so.
Yeah, because I know the Hamilton Tiger Cats. They've got a brewery. I think it's Bench Brewing out in Hamilton. Correct me if I'm wrong, Podski Wee Wee, about this, but they make a Tie Cats beer, and I have no idea how it tastes because I haven't been out to Hamilton in quite some time. But I mean, the Alouettes wouldn't be the first CFL team to have their own beer, but I just think it's really cool, and especially too, like a really good brewery coming out with what I imagine is going to be a really good beer. I'm excited to try this. I mean, because let's face it, beer options at the stadium can be hit or miss at the best of times, but to know that the Alouettes have their own sort of beer, yeah, that's really, really cool.
I'm looking at it now, and this is by the last time that the Alouettes did do this, and I'm far enough away from where it's located that it really wouldn't make much of a story because I'm on audio, not video. But they had their logo placed on, I think it was Bud, on the Budweiser cans.
Right. I
don't remember how long ago that was, but I think it was the late 90s. I think it was right after the team came. I think it was the late 90s. Mm-hmm. But I have that can. I have a full can here, an unopened can.
Oh. So I remember when Coca-Cola was giving away the mini cans with the Alouettes name on it.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, so I mean, like, this is not new, but just the fact that this is a beer, I believe, that was specifically made for the Alouettes, which is amazing all by itself. So, folks, definitely check it out if you're going to the game.
Yeah. What else? What else is there? Merch galore. If you haven't checked out the guy, if you haven't checked out, Corey and the guys over at the Alouettes Boutique online, they got a whole slew of new stuff for 2022. I can only imagine what my bill is going to be like.
But buy our merch first, folks.
Yes.
I mean, support the team. Don't get me wrong. You got to support the team, but support your podcast too.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And so, Cliff, what do these Owls need to do in order to win this week?
Break Cody Fajardo's leg.
Oh, okay.
I mean, really. I mean, he's been in a knee brace most of practice this week. So I mean,
oh, really? Okay.
I'm not suggesting, nor would I ever entertain the idea of putting out a hit on Cody Fajardo.
No, we're not the New Orleans Saints.
No, we're not about that. But I mean, if I sincerely hope it's going to be interesting too with Dan Clark, their longtime center and the heart and soul of that offensive line.
That was a surprise, and that was
out.
wasn't that non-football related?
No, I don't. I'm not entirely sure what had happened, but I mean,
because he broke it himself. That seems so weird. He broke the news himself.
Yeah.
That he has a break.
Yeah. I mean, it was just ugly, and just the fact that he got carted off. I mean, once you get carted off the field, it's not a good thing. You saw that with William Stanback, and you saw it with Dan Clark. I mean, once they bring that out, it's never good. There's never anything good associated with that.
No.
So this offensive line for the Riders, I mean, now they've got a fresh-faced rookie basically under center now, or at the center position. So I mean, like he's being thrown into the fire, folks. Because I mean, you look at this defensive line for the Alouettes, and they're dangerous. They can definitely make some stuff happen. And if I am those guys, if I'm Greg Quick, the defensive line coach for the Alouettes, I am blitzing the hell out of Cody Fajardo. Like, make him run, make him put that wonky knee to use. Like, okay, let's see what you got. Let's see what you got. That's what you got to do. You got to bring all kinds of pressure. Like, you got to get these guys back on their heels and just make Cody Fajardo as uncomfortable as possible. And if his knee starts to falter, what's the backup plan in Saskatchewan? I mean, this just like this team lives and dies, as far as I'm concerned, by Vernon Adams, the Riders live and die by Cody Fajardo. Like, that's like, you take him out, and I'm not saying to do it illegally or anything like that, but if you take away that weapon, that affects everything, because they've got some good, talented receivers. The new running back, Morrow, is, he had some pretty nice runs last week, but I mean, everything funnels right back down to Cody Fajardo. I mean, you take him out of the equation, you take away his weapons.
Mason Fine.
That's okay. So there you go. So I don't know too much about Mason Fine. So I mean, to me, I think that's going to be the key. If the Alouettes, if they bring that pressure and just get in Fajardo's face and just make him as uncomfortable as possible, then the Alouettes have a fighting chance in this game. Because you take a look at everything that's befallen the Alouettes this week, I mean, and this is just a recipe for disaster. Like, between the COVID, between the injuries, between everything else that's going on, I mean, this negative cloud that seems to be hanging overhead. I mean, I'll be honest, I don't have a good feeling about this game as it sits, but I would love nothing more to be wrong. I would love nothing more than have this team step up and prove me wrong.
Yeah, please. Yeah, and it's supposed to be raining. On top of that, by the way, bring your rain gear, everybody.
Yeah. It could get sloppy out there in many ways. And again, I think if Montreal's going to win this game, the defense is going to have to be absolutely lights out. Like, really, truly make life miserable for Cody Fajardo. I'm not talking like, forcing fumbles, pick sixes. Yeah. I mean, like, truly, I think that's how the Alouettes are going to.
And if the rain is going to be an issue, Joshua Antwi needs to be a factor. Actually, both of our running backs need to be a factor.
Yeah, both Antwi and William Fletcher. Just run the rock, like, just ground and pound, because listen, Saskatchewan, they're a good team. I mean, despite you are what your record says you are, and at 2-0,
exactly.
Even if you're the worst 2-0 team, you're still a 2-0 team. Like, you're doing something right because you got 2 W's. So I mean, you got to give props to that. But for Montreal, like, I know there's a lot of pressure on, and I imagine like Trevor Harris is going to be, like I said, I'm expecting a lot out of him. Why? Because everybody and their mother is saying that he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. So you know what? He's got to live up to it. I want to see the proof. I want to be proven wrong. I want Trevor Harris to prove my doubts wrong.
Exactly.
Because otherwise, like, I will be just as vocal and just as critical that everybody else has been about Vernon Adams.
Yep. This will be the seventh time in team history that the Alouettes have opened their home schedule, Cliff, versus the Saskatchewan Roughriders. They are 3-3 in those games, and they did win their last meeting in 2017, 17-16, and as I was reminded, it was the Yeah, I guess it was the Daring Durant versus the World game.
Yes. It's like, are we sure Trevor Harris never played for the? Didn't Dominique David? No, we don't have any former Rider quarterbacks in the lineup, do we?
Not yet.
Shoot, I'm just saying. Like, if somebody ever wanted to come on, is just like get their revenge, but
but we'll see.
Like Doubles tried to. Well, he did do it, but I mean, funny with that game too. I seem to recall there was a bit of malaise. There was a little, there was some doubt kind of swirling overhead as well, and the Alouettes, literally by the skin of their teeth, they won that football game. It could happen again.
Yeah, we can do this. We still need some home revenge for that weather shortened game a couple years ago.
Oh gosh, what? And wait, it's raining tomorrow, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Is there lightning in the forecast?
Not that I've seen.
Whew. Okay, then we got a chance, folks. We got a chance.
We always have a chance. And we appreciate you, everybody, for joining us for the episode. I keep saying that if wasn't for you, we'd be talking to ourselves. But if you have any comments, questions, concerns, you know how to get a hold of us. Social media, email, please do so, and also to again stay tuned for our next giveaway for the next pair of SportBuff Flight Crew seats that will be done the week before the game versus the Edmonton Elks. So stay tuned.
And folks, if you see us at the game on Thursday, please come say hi. Please let us know that what you like and what you don't like about the podcast. Like we want to interact with each and every one of you. Like we're giving away the seats, the flight crew seats. We're doing everything we can to help remind everybody about what an awesome place Percival Molson is to watch a football game. If you see us, come say hello. Come talk about the podcast. We'd love to see you. We'd love to hear from you. We're not shy. Come say hi.
Exactly. Come say hi. So we'll be back next week, hopefully to talk about the first win of the 2022 season for the Montreal Alouettes. So for everybody here at the flight deck, for Cliffy D, I'm Tim Capper. We're on Final Approach.